What's up everyone, it's another episode of DCU TV here. This video we're going to break down the last week for DC United. They had a loss versus Philadelphia and then had a huge win last night over Atlanta United. So we're going to talk about what happened there and also have a little Q&A session from Instagram at the end. Before we get into it, make sure to follow DCU TV on Instagram so you can get regular content and ask questions that'll be answered in videos like this one. So DC United hosted the Philadelphia Union on Wednesday, ended up losing 2-0, and it was a surprisingly hard game for DC United. They did not look good, they're very predictable in what they were doing, and they just didn't get the benefit of the doubt on a handful of calls from the referee. Most notably of which, I think referees have been really hard on Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney has gone down a lot. I think other teams' defense focus on Wayne. They foul him a lot, similar to Acosta, but I think the referees are much more harsh and less willing to call fouls on Wayne Rooney. VAR, where are you when we need you? I don't know, so yeah. The team struggled to control the midfield in this game against Philadelphia, and the spacing wasn't really great. They got caught on their left side, just like clumping up on the left, and occasionally we're able to switch the ball over, but a lot of times just kind of got stuck in what they were doing. Repetitive, and Philadelphia just read right through it, cut the ball out, and carried on with their attack. I think the possession ended here around 50-50, and DC United had good control of the ball when they had the ball, but the possession wasn't really anything exciting. They weren't creating many chances from it because it was like the same thing was happening every time, and Philadelphia's defense knew exactly that. Philadelphia played a lot of homegrowns. They have young players on their team. Their center backs played surprisingly well, Jack Elliott and I think Austin Trusty. It begs the question, should DC United be playing more of their homegrown players? We know Chris Durkin is a quality defensive midfielder. Haven't seen him in the last couple games, and you know, there's plenty of potential reasons for that. But seeing Philadelphia performing well makes you think that maybe if DC United lets them go through some growing pains, that they'll come out on the other end a lot better, and DC United will be doing a good piece of business in helping their homegrown players become first-team starters, and I think the fans appreciate that too. But let's move on from that and talk about the huge win last night. DC United surprised me and I think a lot of other fans at Audi Field by beating Atlanta 3-1. It was a huge result for them. They really wanted to win this game. You could see it in the players on the field, and I think in the standings they really needed 3 points tonight, considering that they couldn't get a result versus Philadelphia on Wednesday. Acosta just showed that he can be one of the better players in this league, and he's, you know, hands down the best player on the field in that game last night. Josef Martinez was out there, shut down by the defense, but Acosta was out there running free, getting the ball, cutting in behind the defense, dribbling through players, and just overall played an amazing game. It's fantastic to see Acosta and Wayne Rooney have this partnership, because Rooney knows where Lucho's going to be. He flicks the ball along, Lucho runs onto it, he's got to dribble around two defenders, no big deal, he shoots, he scores, and he did that twice last night. It was fantastic to watch. Everyone in the stadium, it was one of the best atmospheres I've seen at Audi Field probably since the opening game, and they both ended the same scoreline, but this win meant a lot more for the team trying to get into the playoffs here. And really, DC played a good game despite Atlanta controlling a lot of the ball in the first half and even in a lot of the second half as well. They were able to hold off a lot of Atlanta's offensive pushes, and the defense held together really well. The center backs were able to close in on Josef Martinez. Arriola is right back, something new, something that Ben Olsen has mentioned maybe a month or so ago. First time I think we've seen it other than at the end of the game on Wednesday. Arriola moved there as Fisher got injured, but today we saw a full game of Arriola at right back, and he looked surprisingly good. Arriola really just shut down Ezekiel Barco on that right side, and yeah, he's able to get the ball and push it forward quickly. He can control it well, but at the same time, his speed following back into defense is fantastic. He's able to catch up with the ball. He doesn't have the best defensive technique. Obviously, he's not a true defender, but at the same time, he has so many other positive qualities that he showed last night that it totally made up for it, and he was everywhere. He was in important places at the right times, and he just had a really, really good game. One other shout out from this game, Bill Hamid went off. 2 or 3 times, I'm standing there, I see Atlanta have the ball, Miguel Almiron is driving at the goal, lays it off for Josef Martinez, or lays it off for Villalba or someone else, and in my head I'm just thinking, okay, well, this is a goal. But no, Bill Hamid has such fast reactions, saves the ball. There's really 2 or 3 goals that Atlanta potentially could have had. Bill Hamid just makes game-changing saves, and he came up big 2 or 3 times last night. So with last night's win, DC United moves into 7th place. They top the Revs only on goal difference, both on 30 points right now. That leaves DC United 6 points behind Montreal in 6th place. In order to make up those 6 points, they have 3 games in hand, and they can definitely do it, although a lot of these upcoming games are against tough opponents, and that's where losing to a team like Philadelphia at home makes this road a little bit tougher, because you have to beat more top-level teams like what happened last night against Atlanta. That said, I think this is doable for this DC team. If they play like they did last night, they clearly play like a team with the quality that should be challenging for an MLS Cup. It's just a matter of stringing together those performances like that and not having games like when you lose at home to Philadelphia 2-0. So I'm going to get into the Instagram questions here. The first one, I had 2 of them about Paul Arriola right back, what I thought, if I think he'll stay here for the rest of the year. And frankly, I mentioned this earlier, I thought he played really well. I definitely think we'll see him there a lot more in some upcoming games with O'Neal Fisher injured right now. But that said, I'm not sure that it's his best role. It could be his best role for the team if Yamil Asad is back next week. But I'd like to see him play there more. I think that if the center backs have a strong game and continue to play that way, that it'll make up for Paul Arriola pushing forward a little bit more than other, maybe like O'Neal Fisher would, just because Fisher has a little bit more of a defensive mindedness when coming back. But I'd like to see Paul Arriola play there a good bit more, because I thought he was really good last night. I just don't think that he's a guy where we can just write in now, he's our right back for the rest of the year. We'll have to let a few games play out. Next Instagram question is, what do I think about Olsen not rotating the team? That's a tough one, because I think the team needs to be rotated. The team, a lot of players look tired, and you just got to give other people chances to stay on top of their game, especially going into a tough stretch here with the last few games of the season. But last night he had to put out the best team on the field. We're playing Atlanta, big 3 points. I think that maybe 1 or 2 swaps and we could get away with it, but that's the coach's decision. You want to put out the best team, and clearly it worked out. Now I think that this week, since we don't have to play until next weekend now, it'll give the team a chance to get their legs back, but I still wouldn't be surprised to hopefully see a couple changes when we go up to New York to take on NYCFC, because there's also a home game that Wednesday. Either Saturday or Wednesday, I would bet that 2 or 3 changes be made. I think that Olsen just doesn't want to rotate because he doesn't want to take a risk of players still having to find, a chance to gel with each other, especially new guys like Vitas. Because each game is so important at this point and we need the points, I think that he's just more hesitant because of that. He doesn't want to risk players not performing well together, or players taking 2 or 3 games to get, acquainted with each other. At this point in the season, you just can't risk that. And the other question I got on Instagram was, where has Vitas been? You're preaching to the choir here. I was a big fan of this signing when Vitas came to DC. He's a big and physical left back, and that's kind of like the exact opposite of Josef Mora, who's a small guy. And although Mora's fast and good with the ball and he can carry it forward and stuff, I think Vitas would really help us in locking down our back line. There are a lot of times in games I see where a long ball is played upfield and Josef Mora goes up for the header, but I've yet to see him win one yet. And a 6'2" player like Vitas, he's going to win more of those headers for us, and he's going to be able to be an aerial presence, but at the same time be a strong and physical defender. He may not have as much going forward as Mora, but he's shown in his time at Portland that he can get assists and he can push up the flank and still create plays. So, I think that it's just a matter of Mora's game having stepped up a lot since signing Vitas that we haven't seen him play. But I hope that soon we do see Vitas on the field, whether it's as a late game sub just for some defensive support to see out the end of a game, or starting soon. I want to see him on the field very soon. Alright, so I hope you all liked this video. It was a pretty crazy week for DC United fans, but at the end of it, we came out with a win over what I would say is the best team in the league, and you got to be happy with that at the end of the day. So comment down below, let me know if you think DC United is going to make the playoffs. Comment down below and let me know if you think DC United is going to make the playoffs. Tell me how excited you were after we beat Atlanta last night. And as always, be sure to subscribe.